You're welcome to this second part of writing successful proposals to obtain development funding. So far, we've gone through quite a series of introductions on what exactly you need to do or you need to understand about making your proposals to obtain development funding. So, right away, let's just look very quickly at obtaining grants from either government sources or from the corporate world or from donor assistance or donor grants giving organizations. Government grants are usually more intensive and require more documentation than corporate grants. I mean, that is an understood reality of from everybody who is in the circuit of obtaining grants. You discover that in dealing with governments, you always somehow find that the documentation process is usually a bit more protracted than you would do when you are dealing with corporate organizations. And it may also take multiple grants to fund an entire program or project, but you could obtain a government grant to fund an entire program or project. That basically speaks to the fact that in certain instances, you will be able to get complete funding from government to be able to meet certain requirements for your target population. Whilst amongst the corporate donors or among the fund provision or donor giving non-profits themselves, you will discover that you will in most cases only get a fraction of what you want. But that is why sometimes if you do approach governments for grants and the rest of it, you may just be able to get your full requirement. So keep this at the back of your mind whenever you're going out there to get funding. Know that if you were to be successful in raising funding through governments, you might just be able to get the entire gamut of what you want for your organization to function properly. Now, let me just show you something that is a bit startling. For some people, it will be a bit surprising, and I want to use the word amazing because it's not common knowledge in the non-profit sector. It's not common knowledge in the sense that ordinarily in the response of donors, there is this conception, or I call it a misconception, that the corporates, the foundations do much more for non-profit work than the individuals. But statistics available have shown us that of all funds which are donated to non-profit organizations for work purposes, we observe that individuals on the average do 81%. So what that means essentially is that we can look effectively to reaching out to individuals to get the bulk of what our organizations need, what our non-profits need, our non-government organizations need to be able to take care of the requirements and the needs of our target population and make our desired impacts and outcomes. 81% is such a huge number. And the next is foundations. Foundations only do 14%. In total non-profit work, in total non-governmental work, in total social intervention work, carried on by community-based organizations and the rest like, they only get 14% of their requirements from foundations. And then the corporations only do 5%. So this, I think, to a very large extent should, evoke a different type of response, or I would better say attitude, from the non-profit sector, particularly the non-governmental organizations, the community-based organizations, and the rest like, that we should all learn at this point in time to develop strategies that will reach the individuals, because it is from the individuals we get the bulk of what we require. Okay, so let us look at the 12 building blocks of a successful fundraising letter. Very crucial, because this exactly is what it is all about. And the 12 building blocks of a successful fundraising letter are: number one, the headline must state the issue or ask clearly, directly, dramatically, emotionally, and personally. That is the headline. The headline, of course, the headline of a letter, would essentially encapsulate and do a concise presentation of the issue. You put the ask directly, dramatically, emotionally, and personally. These are essential areas which communicators are very good at. So if your organization does not have a trained communicator, or a copywriter for that matter, at this point in time it will be good to enlist one, but we can still learn how to do this effectively. The next, of course, is your opening line of your letter should unwrap the headline and explain the issue, the cause, and the effect. Very, very quickly, unwrap the headline, and explain the issue, the cause, and the effect of what you're trying to address. Whatever the issues are, whatever the social, economic issues are, your opening line should be able to unwrap what you've stated in your headline, and then explain the issue, the cause, and the effect. We'll get down to precise size, in the subsequent slides. We'll know how much of space we need to give to each of these. Then the next is you must explain exactly what you want the reader to do. So your ask comes third place. Your headline, the headline of your letter states very clearly what the issue is. Your ask is there clearly also, directly, dramatically, emotionally, and personally. You put it across, to the potential donor or the individual in such a manner that you are able to connect with their hearts, you're able to connect with their minds through your headline, and you unwrap that headline in your opening line in the letter. Immediately after that, like I said, you need to explain exactly what you want the reader to do. At that point is your ask. So, having done the previous two steps, at the third step, you must be asking very, very clearly, precisely, concisely, and in very clear terms what you want your reader to do. Then the fourth step there is to demonstrate impact that their donation will have. Immediate, tangible, and lasting. It's crucial to make your reader or your potential donor know that their donation, more or less, will have an immediate, a tangible, and a lasting impact. If you can also prove that their impact will be sustainable, it will be wonderful. And when you want to talk about sustainable impacts, we are looking at areas, especially in giving through wills, in putting in place endowment programs, and the rest of it. If you make a donor or a giver or an organization to understand that, for example, they are giving towards an endowment funds which more or less pays out money perpetually on a yearly basis, to a cause which the organization is advocating, then it means essentially that they will have, a continued impact, a sustainable impact on that particular sector, and that gladdens the heart of any donor. So you need to connect your donors to emotional states, make them feel exactly how your target population is feeling. And sometime during the latter lessons, you will use some common words with which you can make your donor feel the way your target population is feeling. Then you need to paint a picture, tell a story, or state the facts and the stats. At that point in time, that is where we can bring in particular stories of, either incidences or particular individuals, who have previously been in that problem you're trying to solve, and now maybe the impact of your intervention or your organization's intervention is so clearly seen, and then your target population has come out of whatever problems, and now they're in a better situation. So, but you must be able to paint a picture or tell a story. In some cases, the story actually might not have a happy ending, in the sense that in order to make your potential donor to feel the way the situation is on the ground, sometimes it's good to put up stories that do not have happy endings, for them to understand that if they don't act, those kind of stories will, continue perpetually. Okay, so you also need to provide proof of what has already or previously been achieved. If your organization has been involved over a period of time in doing that intervention, you need to, at this point in time, provide proof, what has already or previously been achieved. And some of those, could be your KPIs, for, particular projects, and some of them, if they are actually certified by certain monitoring organizations, and certain organizations who come to evaluate your work, it will be good to provide that information and say, we've been able to do this in the past, and these are the results, and these are the impact and the outcomes as certified by XYZ organization. Now, fear of loss. What happens if they don't donate? How does that make them feel? You need to make your potential donors understand that if they don't donate, the likelihood that that problem is going to continue, persist, and become, a problem which would engulf a larger population of society, you need to make them understand that. It's good to, make them know what will happen if they don't donate. You can let them know that if they don't donate, for example, children will die, or children are dying at that particular moment because they are not donating. Women are dying at that moment because they are not donating. People are not drinking potable water at that moment because they are not donating. There's so many childhood pregnancies, and children are on the streets because they are not donating. So it's great to make them know, what happens when they don't donate. Then your letter should also have a recap, a reinforce. That is a very brief recap, which will state very clearly the cause, the effect, and the feelings. But it has to be brief. Then provide comfort. That is, overcome anxieties of what if. That is a very delicate area. Sometimes some of the letters could be very traumatic to especially donors who may have issues with their emotions, or so to say with anxiety and the rest of it. So at that point in time, it will be also necessary to provide comfort and overcome anxieties of what if. That is to say that there is hope. You need to preach, or rather give a message of hope, essentially to indicate that the situation can always be ameliorated by the help and the assistance of members of society. So create the imperative why they should respond and why they should give today. Never ask for tomorrow, but always ask for today. Ask for your giving for today. Then it's always wonderful to use a postscript, which is a complete ask or imperative for action. Very, very crucial. Use a postscript as much as possible, and we consider this as 12 building blocks of a successful fundraising letter, which you can look at very closely and build your letter along these lines. Let us look at what David Ogilvy said. He said, remember, on the average, 5 times as many people read the headlines as read the body copy. He's saying there that when you have done your keyword research, you have written 80% of your headline. So there is always a keyword for every activity you want to propound, or for every non-governmental intervention you want to provide, or non-profit intervention for that matter. There is always a keyword. Now I think in the social media world now, it is referred to as hash words and the rest of it. But there's always a keyword by which you can attract the attention and retain the attention of your potential donors. So as David says, it says that on the average, 5 times as many people read the headlines as read the body copy. So what he's saying basically that it's all in your headline. It's all in your headline. So a lot of people, a lot of patronage is lost at the headlines. When the headlines are not interesting enough, you lose the people. You lose, your potential donors. So your most effective direct response headlines, of course, should grab attention. They should grab attention. They should identify the topic. They should deliver the complete message, the issue, the idea, the ask. They should demonstrate the direct benefit or tangible outcome and connect on a personal and emotional level. So your headline, as it were, should have these 5 characteristics. And again, for the purposes of emphasis, we need to look at it closely again. The first thing is that your headline must grab attention. The second is that it must clearly identify the topic. The third is that it must deliver the complete message. As small as the headline is, it must deliver the complete message, the issue, the idea, and the ask. And it must demonstrate the direct benefit or tangible outcome, and at the same time connect on a personal and emotional level with your intending funders. So we will look forward to doing some practical demonstrations on how it means, to do a direct response headline at our workshops. When you attend our workshops, you're going to be able to do a practical session on this. Now, applications fail for many reasons, and part of the reasons why they fail is because the applicant, in most cases, is not eligible because of its legal form, the lack of charity status, size, or geographical remit. Very, very important to know. There are too many organizations out there who are not registered charities who want to, do charity work. It's not possible, it's not allowed under the law, and potential donors will be able to sift through this very quickly and understand that you're not registered to be a charity. And when that is the case or the situation, you will almost ordinarily not be able to be successful in your grant application. And more so when your geographical remit or your geographical indications are not in the areas where your funders are operating from, or they are ready to operate, then that again can also stop what you're doing. So it will not be proper for a non-profit in one country to go and seek assistance in another country when it is not stated clearly that the organization you're going to seek the assistance from do not actually work in your country or in your area where you intend to do your intervention. Now, applications also fail when projects are poorly planned. Every intervention by the non-profit sector are actually projects in operation. Now, when they are poorly planned, you have instances where the applications will fail because your funders are able to see through your presentations and know that they are not properly made and the projects are not properly planned. And now, when applicants do not present their project clearly and concisely on the application form, applications will also fail. And when applicants fail to demonstrate that they meet the criteria, applications will also fail. Now, applications which are made without monitoring and evaluation processes in place are very, very likely to fail, especially when you request assistance from international donor organizations. And when the budget is problematic or you have unconvincing financial management procedures, that in itself is a red flag and the applications will surely fail. Or when the applicant misses the deadline, or the form is incomplete or ineligible, or the supporting documents are incomplete, inaccurate, out of date, and contradict the application form, of course, the application will fail. Applications also fail when applicants ask for too much. We mentioned this earlier on in the last session, that when the ask is beyond the capacity of either the corporates or the foundations, usually that application will fail. If you ask for amounts or equipment in excess of what the organization is permitted to grant, then the application certainly, will fail. Now, let's look at why organizations are successful, why applications are successful. When the organization makes an application and the need for the project is strongly proven, and the applicant convinces the funder that it is the best place organization to carry out that intervention, that application will be successful. The applicant chooses the most appropriate funders to approach. We talked earlier on the whole issue of researching about the funders. You must be able to research adequately and properly about the specific funders that you need to be able to meet your aspirations. So when you choose the most appropriate funders to approach, your application is likely to succeed. And now when the applicant researches the funder intensively before an application is lodged, the application is likely to succeed. And the application, if it's received by the deadline, fully completed with up-to-date annual report and accounts and governing documents, bank account details, and all other relevant documents, enclosures, the application will most likely succeed. Let us take note of that. It is commonplace that certain non-governmental organizations make applications without supporting documents such as annual reports, accounts, other governing documents, bank account details, and all the relevant enclosures required. That again is another serious red flag, and international donors, corporates, foundations, and some very discerning individuals find it very difficult to deal with organizations who, mostly, do not keep these documents in view for potential funders to see. All right, so applications are also successful when the applicant has an amiable working relationship with the funder during the application process. You remember we earlier mentioned that it would be a wonderful thing if you can set up a meeting with your potential funder before you write the application. So what happens is that when there is an amiable working relationship between the funder and the potential, between the funder, that is the donor, the potential donor, and the organization that requires the funds, then that will also facilitate and ensure that the application becomes successful. Now, applications are also successful when they stand out against other applications and the funder can see what it is getting for its investment. The funder must be able to see that indeed the whole process identifies with their values, with their aspirations, identifies, with their own corporate strategies and the like. So it's important for you as an organization to put that in place, or rather to put that, in focus whilst making the applications to your potential funders. And now, when the budget is accurately estimated and the source of match funding are in place, and the applicant asks for a realistic amount from the funder, that in itself also assists in ensuring that applications are successful. Applications become successful when the budget is accurately estimated and the sources of match funding are in place, and the applicant asks for a realistic amount. We mentioned this earlier on, that non-profits should endeavor to investigate exactly what amount the potential funders can give to their cause. All right? So in order not to allow a request for something which is unrealistic. And when the applicant has good governance, management, administration, and financial procedures in place, the application is very likely to succeed. When the applicant has a good track record of delivering funded projects, the application also is very likely to succeed. Let's just use our remaining time to just quickly dash through what the key components of a proposal letter will be. The key components of a proposal letter will be: 1, the cover letter; 2, the executive summary; 3, you have a justification, background, problem statement outlining the cause, the problems, and the effect. And that also essentially includes your needs statement. Then the letter will also include your program, your project description overview. You need to be very specific about that. Your goals, your objectives, your activities, your strategies, your impacts and indicators of success, your output, for example, 30 trained teachers, 30 trained health workers, impact, for example, number of reduced deaths, So things of that nature must be clearly stated, what your impacts will be and what your output will also, be. Your timelines, your human resource requirements, your evaluation plan, your sustainability plan, your budget, your organizational capacity, all this must be key components of what your proposal letter will look like. So, in summary, or rather to that, I would say that your proposal writing components should include: your cover letter should be 1 page, your executive summary should be 1 page, and your problem, your needs statement should be about 2 pages, and then your project program description should be about 3 or 4 pages. That is what we basically suggest, as what would, put together an adequate proposal letter. So, but quickly, we can also look at what your project program description will be like. So that effectively will be 3 or 4 pages. And in that you have your mission, your vision, your goals, your objectives, your strategies, your timeline, your human resource requirements, your evaluation plan and sustainability plan, just like we have said previously on the previous slide. And then your budget, 2 pages, and your organizational info should be 1 page. Your conclusion, 2 paragraphs. Your appendices and relevant documents. Your appendices should include your relevant documents that support your proposal. So basically, this is what your proposal letter, the components of what your proposal letter should look like. We've come to the end of this particular segment. The next segment, we're going to be looking at how to develop your executive summary and the other parts of the other important parts of the letter. It's been great having you in class today, and I look forward to meeting you next time in continuation of this very important topic of writing successful proposals to obtain development funding. Thank you very much.